The inspiration was the freedom of the enslaved people in 1865, Galveston, Texas. That was the inspiration. And I understand from history that there were very early celebrations of Juneteenth then. But our society, pushed by the government, I suppose, wanted to lean toward the Emancipation Proclamation instead of Juneteenth. And of course, Lincoln himself, I think, pretty much acknowledged that the Emancipation Proclamation was a war tool. And then Juneteenth around the United States has been celebrated for years. Pittsburgh, I read several years ago where Pittsburgh had one of the biggest ones in the country and lots of history. I don't think it was Biden that initiated the level of Juneteenth that we have now. I just think it was kind of like Martin Luther King's birthday. I remember we used to have, in New York, we used to have breakfasts every January 15th, pushing for Martin Luther King's birthday. And we did that for years. And it finally became a birthday. But I think Juneteenth being celebrated on the Saturday closest to the 19th of June didn't disrupt companies for having to let people off for holidays and stuff like that, unless you're in healthcare or something like that where you work on the weekend. And I think that Cheryl Harry was probably just determined that we would have a Juneteenth here. In fact, she probably did not know about the federal troops that were right here in Salem a month earlier at that time. So she was probably hearing about the other Juneteenth that were practiced, around the country and stuff like that, and said, why not Winstonsalem? They got, really pulled together because Maya Angelou came and did a little discussion down at the Urban League, as part of it. It was more an approach, and I was on the committee, the planning committee. And so we had it was a lot more organized than what they had tried a couple of years before, And so, you get it going, and you get other people involved, you get vendors involved and stuff like this, and then after a while, it kind of feeds on itself. I think it's here to stay, I really do. I think it's here to stay because I think that our society, the United States now, the society of the United States now, has come to accept, whether they fully acknowledge it or not, but accept the role of African Americans in the development of this country, even though enslaved. Because people like Thomas Jefferson would say, or historians would say Thomas Jefferson built Monticello, and he didn't. Enslaved people built Monticello. He might have designed it and stuff like that, but enslaved people built it. So I think that's being more accepted now. And another thing that I see, that I have high school colleagues, former high school colleagues, who have grandchildren now of mixed heritage. Because the generation right after me started to intermarry in the South. And that was unheard of. And so you let that soak in and kind of seep through society for a couple of generations. And then how are you going to discriminate against somebody because of the color of their skin? And they might have parents on one side the color of your skin, right? You can't do that. So I see that as all that coming together. I don't think that Winston-Salem can avoid the swing of the pendulum, so to speak, no more than anybody else around the country, even though there are some that are trying. Time, you can't stop the ball of time from rolling. You just can't do that. So I think Juneteenth is here to stay.